Next intel item. We spoke to GCHQ recently, who are Blue Dragon, along with Anne, Hillary, and they were complaining that they had not been paid the $300 million promised by Hillary Clinton for them to bomb Syria and plant fake chemical weapons, which they did. One day later, Trump withdraws all the troops from Syria. Coincidence? We know not. Next item. As we have been bombarded with 2014 stuff again, and collateral accounts, gold accounts, this trust and that trust, names like Marcos, Sukarno, Sino, along with Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore, Japan, China, having these treasures, this trust and these vaults. I thought I would give people an update. Mr. Fernando Marcos was a trustee for the trust under the previous regime, and he was also the Pindar for many years, essentially the head of all the dragon groups. And the names that were below him of Sukarno were offshoots or foot soldiers under his command. Others that operated below them in the structure were the Lee family of Singapore, the Chang family, which again were all under the umbrella of Mr. Marcos. And essentially what they were there for was to hand over all the assets, which then went to Mr. Marcos, who then passed them on higher up the chain of command. For the record, Mr. Marcos had 3 layers of chains of command above him, possibly as many as 5. And all those who handed over the assets received remuneration for their assets, whether knowingly or not, that the guy at the top, Marduk, was just harvesting all the assets up. And in return he gave them bits of paper with numbers on that have no intrinsic value to him or the trust, as none of them were essentially asset-based. So essentially Mr. Marcos, supported by Sukarno, and the Lee family, all partook in the harvesting programme for and on behalf of the former trust holder known as Marduk. And yet we have people around the internet talking about how great they were. They were trustees of the trust for Marduk and the harvesting programme. Same as Mr. Mandela, another trustee. And essentially this is how those assets all became a part of and in full ownership of by what is known now today as the Manor World Holding Trust. Kim's predecessor harvested everything and in return gave titles and bits of fiat paper in return. That's how it worked. Now they, including the Pindar, all dragon groups, factions, the former Illuminati, covens and parents, largely knew nothing of this plan. Very few were aware, and many of them still don't know to this day. It's one of the things we've been staggered by over the last 2 years of how little those at the top know. But this is what we've been teaching via this show, and more so via Kim, that they're all following a dead and failed programme. It's gone. It's finished. We're not being harvested anymore. And yet these clowns carry on. That harvesting programme involved all of us, no matter what title or important position you were fobbed off with. We were all going to end up harvested. The 500 million on the Georgia Guidestones was the first stage. Then when they collected the rest of the bits, they were going to wipe them out as well. Greed and ego are a major problem on this planet, and it has cost us dearly. And very few realise just how close we all came to the ultimate cost of not only losing all our assets, but all of our lives and also the planet, until a very, very small handful of people stepped in and stopped it. You've no idea.